Yes, anyway, noted art critic, yes, very good. And of course, we always say about Herb Weston, fuck you, Herb. See, the city is a bunch of racists, it's true. Given 1 minute to speak on something as important as this, another racist tactic. You give people, your friends, your rich developer friends, your buddies, your insiders, you give them unlimited time. The public waits for hours and gets 60 lousy seconds. You take this one woman and assault her because she takes a microphone and tells you you're racist. Well, you're racist. You don't give a damn about LA. You want to whitewash Little Tokyo? There's nothing left of Little Tokyo. What the hell's left of Little Tokyo? What the hell's left of Chinatown? I go up to San Francisco, I see Chinatown. I go here, I can't even find a blip on the screen. It's all boxes of all this retail and all this high-priced fucking housing, you know? Enough is enough. Yeah. Fuck this bullshit, protect Little Tokyo. Yeah.
Okay, has everyone spoken that wishes to speak on this issue?
Can my pig speak?
Okay, I'm closing the public hearing. Okay, I want to spell out a few things first. This is the Cultural Heritage Commission. We don't deal with affordable housing as much as we might like to. We are here to look at preserving structures and other elements of the urban fabric that are important to the history of Los Angeles. I personally feel that the Arts District is an important aspect of the city of Los Angeles' cultural development. I've experienced it firsthand, and I feel your pain when it's, the Arts District is being threatened by development. But I think whether we declare this a monument or not is sort of a small point in sort of what it is that you all are after, because if we don't declare it, or we do declare it, I think the same result is going to happen. I think that having it declared actually may benefit the building than be a detriment to it. I'm more than willing to, with my fellow commissioners agree, more than willing to create language within the application that speaks to the importance of this building in terms of being a key component in the Arts District and those associated, those artists associated with the building. I think that would be an important addition to this application. I think the application is worthy. I think the building is worthy of being approved and being a monument. Like I said, there are a lot of things here that we don't have a say on. We're here strictly to deal with historic buildings and element issues within the confines of the city of Los Angeles, and I hope you understand that. Emotionally, I'm very sympathetic to your cause, to all of you that are here today. I was very instrumental in fighting for my community in Highland Park, and I know the emotions that are associated with that. So, I think I would like to suggest that we craft some language that supports the findings that we include, but I don't think, I think it sounds to me like it's bigger than just the Japanese American, as there were Latin artists that were also associated with the building, and I'm sure there are white artists that were associated with the building. And so I think it's a bigger issue than that, although there does seem to be a predominance of Japanese American artists associated with this in the Japanese American district of Little Tokyo. So I'm going to ask my fellow commissioners to speak on this issue and see if we can figure out a way to accommodate some language. Mr. Berry, I think you're always good at this.
I think a couple of things. One, Commissioner Cameron and I did a tour of the building and recognized its importance within the context of, especially across the street from the Americana Hotel, served as the focal point of what was known as the artist community. It's sort of expanded beyond that now. And I think the exterior features of the building are substantially intact. There are a couple minor changes to it. The interior is effectively an industrial building. There's evidence of the old railroad tracks and the old loading docks from when it originally functioned as a coffee company. So I think in terms of its significance as an historic building, there's no question that it meets the criteria, both in terms of the building as it stands and the importance of the architect who designed it. I think the issue of beyond that, what level of recognition goes into the community and the artists who live there, who work there, becomes a very interesting topic to me. I'm a former gallery owner in Boston, show the works of artists who are in the Metropolitan Museum, the Museum of Modern Art in LACMA. So I'm sympathetic with that level of association. I think one of the issues that sort of comes up, and this is a really good example of it, is the passion that you all have is a passion that sort of is because of immediate context. That there isn't the sort of this passionate level of distance that is required to sort of designate history. So I'm sort of torn between recognizing that passion, recognizing the work in the artist district, and sort of the distance that sort of separates current from historic. I do have a draft to Richard get back of a finding. I think that may begin to address that. But I think the other thing which you shall recognize is all the documentation that's been provided both by GPA and by the community, by Dorothy. All your testimony today, all your letters are part of the public record on this building. So even if it were designated without recognition of the artist's role in the building, it's all part of the record of the building, and it's all part of anyone doing research on a attraction in the future to find the entire documentation that's been presented today. So I think it is part of the public record, whether or not it's part of the designation is becomes secondary. But in light of the importance of the artist district, in light of other work that I know the LA Conservancy is doing to preserve the character of the artist district, and looking at zoning issues with the planning department, in light of the importance of the Japanese American contribution to the building, to the community, and other Latino artists, sort of broad-based, I would like to add an additional finding to the staff report, if I can, that the building is identified with the development of the arts district, artists and residents, including Japanese American and other ethnic folk groups, and their movement in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Commissioner Pulaski. I think that's a really good. My name is Commissioner Canaro. And I'm so sympathetic to what all you have said when the project first came. I said, we need to find a way to recognize human cultural assets. And of course, the artist community has talked about this. But I think you should also understand what Commissioner Barron has also said, that we are the Cultural Heritage Commission. And as much as it's so difficult to understand the erasure that's happened, one of the speakers mentioned about the erasure of history of all of the peoples of color, it's really significant that finally we have a chance to speak out and document this history. And this is a small role, but it is a start. So I commend all of you for coming, for taking the time, for creating the video, and all the work that you've done. At the same time, as I said, we are the Cultural Heritage Commission. And in defense of the consultant, their mandate was to look at historic history. So they're not looking anything further than about 50 years. And the Arts District has come after that. So in all deference to them, they are doing their job. They're doing what has to be documented. There's nobody here that was there when the beginning of this facility was built 100 years ago. There's nobody here to speak up for that history. We are the Cultural Heritage Commission, so we have to take all of that into account. The history that happened 100 years ago, and also the more recent history that happened within the last 30 years. So I would support Commissioner Malofsky's amendment and make sure that it's not just the Japanese American artists, but there are Latino artists, Chinese artists, European American, African American artists, and others who made contributions to that building, who might have worked in that building when it was the Joannes Building, when they were working as laborers, producing the factory in the factories, including, I might add, my own grandfather, James Kennard, who lived at 5th and San Pedro Street in the 1930s. I don't know if he worked there, but it's possible. So we have a very diverse history. We want to honor all of that. Again, I thank you for coming out and for your passion. You do always, it's important that you do this. So don't feel that your involvement is lost.
I think I mentioned, this is Commissioner Butler, that there's really two issues here. One is, acknowledging the historical context, and the other one is affordable housing, which we all, I think, in across LA County, when we go outside LA County, know of someone or know the impact and the need for affordable housing. And so I think that as much as me personally would want to say, we need to safeguard against that. We need to understand our scope, and our scope is really to look at the historical context. But having said that, I wish there was a way to work around it. I think that if we don't need it, I think everybody needs this, right? So I think we really need to be careful about putting responsibility on this body that we really don't have.
Okay, I think the broader issue is more of a councilman's issue. This is Councilman Weezar's, remind you that it's Councilman Weezar's district. And he is, I know, sympathetic to affordable housing, as all of them say. And but the proof is in the pudding. So I think you need to approach Mr. Weezar about some of these issues that are beyond our commission. Lambert, do you have anything that you would like to add to this?
I might jump in, Commissioner Ken Bernstein. Just wanted to, again, thank everyone who's been here today and for the very passionate and compelling testimony. But with respect to Mr. Malofsky's motion, I think the staff suggestion would be that this is an additional dimension of how the property meets the criteria of reflecting the broad cultural, economic, or social history of the community. And the staff recommendation was already that the building did meet that criterion for its association with the early development of the food processing industry. This is another layer, another dimension of how it meets that particular criterion. So I think, Commissioner Malofsky, if you're going forward with an amending motion, it really should be appended on to that finding, tying that finding to the cultural and social history of this community.
Which is the first finding in the report.
First finding of the two that were
With draft
accepted.
language, we can insert it into the first finding.
Right.
Would you want to do that now, or should we?
Yeah, let's do it now.
Okay. So the Joannes Brothers Company's building reflects the broad cultural, economic, or social history of the nation, state, or community for its association with the early development of the food processing industry, and is identified with the development of the arts district and artists in residence, including Japanese American and other ethnic groups in Los Angeles. Is that clear? That's finding one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. We'll make sure that gets into the final determination.
Okay, and like has been said earlier, all the information, all the letters that have been received by the commission and the testimony today will be in the file. And if additional information, if you find additional information that you wish to include into the file, you may do so at any time. Just contact Lambert, and he will add additional information into the file. That can occur at any time. Okay? So do I have a motion?
Sure. I move that we designate the Joannes Brothers Company building at 800 East Traction Avenue a city cultural monument and accept the staff findings as amended.
Commissioner Tanner, I'll second.
And on,
Roll call?
and on Stone CEA, we have a first and second motion on the floor. Commissioner Malofsky, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Tanner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Buona, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Barron, how do you vote?
Yes.
We have motion
Okay,
passed.
I'm going to suggest we take a 10-minute break.
On to City Hall.
On to City Hall.